Shalom Aleichem and welcome to Online Smicha. Now that we finished the month of Tishrei, and during the month of Tishrei, with all the achanas from the month of Elul, every Yid makes hachlatas tovos, accepts upon himself to become better, and we are enthusiastic from the excitement of the month. It's time to unpack, and as the famous word in the Chidush Yarim, that why is Mar Cheshvan called Mar Cheshvan? One of the interpretations is because Mar is Meloshin Marashchin Sfase. He's still humming the tune of the month of Tishrei. So now we are still have the after effects, the aftershocks of month of Tishrei, and we have to bring it into reality. So let's see how is the best way to get it done. And perhaps we could start this by an opening statement how the holiest day, the Yom Bashana, the day Yom Kippur, the opening statement of Yom Kippur is what teaches us a lesson how to behave. And that is right in the beginning of the night of Yom Kippur, we start off with the pasuk Ur Zarua Latzadik U'Yishrei Leiv Simcha, and we know that this pasuk Ur Zarua Latzadik U'Yishrei Leiv Simcha, if you take the last letter of every word, the Sefer Tevis of that word, make up the word Rabbi Akiva. Why? Why specifically on the night of Yom Kippur we make mention of Rabbi Akiva? So it's brought in Sfarim that we know that Rabbi Akiva is one of the Harugei Malchus, and the story of Rabbi Akiva being killed, Rahman al-Atzlan, was actually on Yom Kippur. So we arouse his presence or his greatness on Yom Kippur to be as good zikaron. We perhaps could take a lesson from Rabbi Akiva's way of life of how to unpack and to bring into action all our hachlatis tovos. With a hakdama, Rabbi Akiva is famous for the statement which is mentioned at the end of Masechta Yoma, where Rabbi Akiva says, "Ashreichem Yisrael, great are you, the Jews. Lefnei mi atem mitaharim u'mi mitahar eschem." You know who in front of who are you becoming pure? Who's the one that's making you pure? Avichem shebashamayim, Father in heaven. And he goes on to say, Ma mikvah mitaras hatmeim, just like a mikvah makes the tummy impure person pure. Afakodesh baruch hu mitaras Yisrael. And some Mefarshim go on to say that even though the mikvah is not the final thing that makes a person tar, actually today's days, as much as you go to the mikvah, you still need the hazah, the spritzing of the paraduma, and the tamei mess also needs the paraduma. Still, nevertheless, the action of going into the mikvah is considered still a good step in the final purity of the person. Ad kedei kach, ma mikvah mitar es hatmeim, that person who's going into the mikvah may still be called a tamei until he finishes it off. Till he finishes off the grand finale of what makes him tar. But it's already you're in the right direction. The life of Rabbi Akiva tells us, as the Gemara says in Brachos, Rabbi Akiva became the great Rabbi Akiva when he saw water dripping drop by drop until after so much that every drop by drop punctured and cracked a big stone. The lesson that we learn from Rabbi Akiva is it's not meant to be done all at once. Rabbi Akiva started at the age of 40. The Gemara says, shreketik things, what Rabbi Akiva's approach was towards a Talmud Chacham before he was 40. He says, if I see a Talmud Chacham, it's a terrible thing, I would do something terrible to him. And nevertheless, Rabbi Akiva from the age of 40 changed and became the great Rabbi Akiva. But it was a drop by drop. Drop by drop, that lesson. Go into the mikveh. Do one thing at a time. That one thing at a time, slowly by slowly, will get you to where you want to reach. Now, there's the common Yiddish saying that if people make a mistake and they say, Odara malach, Odara galach. Meaning you say either you're an angel or Rahman al-Atzlan, you're a priest. Not true. You don't have to be either one. You're not expected to be a malach. You definitely don't want to be a priest. That's not what a yid is supposed to be. But step by step, you're not on the bottom of the barrel. You don't have to be in the top of the barrel. You have to do little action. That's the lesson we have in the opening of Yom Kippur. The first statement mentioning Rabbi Akiva, one act at a time. And sometimes we might need some extra help to guide us in the right direction. So I want to share with you a vart that I read from Svarim on the pasuk Al Pi Shnayim Edim Oy Shloisha Edim Yumas Hames. The pasuk says in Parshas Shoftim that based on it, only if you have 2 witnesses to prove it, or possibly 3 witnesses, only then Yumas Hames. Only then you kill the mess. So some Svarim translate this in Aderech Avoda. They say a person needs Shnayim. Sometimes you can't do it yourself. Not sometimes. If you want to know what's the best way to Yumas Hames, to kill the Yetzer Hara could only be killed if you are with a chavrusa. You have a partner, a good chaver. Or sometimes even Shnayim is not strong enough to put you over the top. You need Shleisha. Watch the Shleisha. 2 of you need a Rebbe, need a Rav. And when you have this combination of not being alone and doing it with a chaver, with the guidance of a Rebbe, one step at a time, Yumas Hames, you'll have enough enough excitement, enough koyach to overcome even the Yetzer Hara.